For the first question,
Hang on, sorry.
okay. The first question, please state your name and your position here in HIM.
My name is Mr. Peter Slade. I am a bar and beverage, food and beverage, intro to hospitality lecturer.
Oh, okay. In what hotels did you work before becoming a lecturer, and for how long did you work in the hospitality industry?
I've worked in the hospitality industry for more than 20 years. More than 20 years. I've worked for Kempinski, Movenpick, Four Seasons, Lux, W, pretty much all of them. Yeah, Conrad, yeah, all of them. I worked as a consultant, so I was hired by different hotel groups to go in and change their menu concepts, train their staff, things like that.
With your experience in the hospitality business, do you believe the guest's verbal communication is important? Could it be even more important than their verbal communication?
Could their verbal communication be more important than their verbal?
No, like the non-verbal more important than the non-verbal.
Yes, massively. Particularly in food and beverage, where you're not actually interacting directly with the guest all the time. Mm-hmm. Their non-verbal communication is something very important to spot a possible complaint or a possible issue from across the room. Also when recommending things or knowing how to deal with the guests. If they are complaining, you can usually tell when you're winning them over or when you've got to try harder, just by the way that they're stood or sat or what they're doing with their face. Okay. You know, they might say everything's all right, but their body is saying everything is definitely not all right. Yeah.
Okay. Have the hotels where you work provided training for the staff about understanding guest nonverbal communication, such as kinesics? Would you find such training useful if you would have a chance to participate in one?
Yes, they did. Part of the training that I used to give was a lot on non-verbal communication, both from the staff and also on how to read the guest. I'd happily take part in training such as this. It's very important.
Okay. Nowadays, do you believe hotels are putting an importance on encouraging their staff to observe and understand guest kinesics?
Yes, I believe so. They should all.
They should. In your opinion, well, why is it important for staff to understand guest body language? You kind of already...
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you believe is the hardest thing about understanding the body language of guests?
Sometimes the hardest thing about it, different cultures. It's understanding the different cultures, because body language is something that is culturally learnt, I think, for a lot of people. So if you're dealing with lots of multicultural people, it's sometimes difficult, because one person's face that looks like they're being very serious, actually they're quite happy. Kind of like your face is at the moment. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever satisfy an unsatisfied guest without him/her having to verbally specify what was bothering them?
Yes, all the time.
Have you experienced a misunderstanding caused by cultural differences concerning the meaning of some gestures? If no, did you witness any?
Yes, particularly in China. You know, there's a lot of problems where, particularly with the trainees, when they get nervous, they smile a lot, which is confusing because you think that everything's okay with them, but actually what they're doing is they're just showing that they don't understand, but they think the polite thing to do is to smile in response to not understanding.
Why do you believe some guests consciously try to hide their body language? Could you think of an example?
Yeah, if they're trying to steal things, or if they're trying to get free compensation. Some people don't like to interact with, particularly hotel management. They feel nervous about it, so they try to act differently than the way that they are. Also with people who are slightly nervous, sometimes try to present themselves as being very confident, which is, you know, a very, very big one. So they pretend as if they're bigger than they are. Yeah.
Do you believe that the staff's ability to understand the guest's body language has an influence on guest satisfaction? Why and how?
Massively. If you can see how a guest is feeling and you can go over and offer solutions to them without them having to ask, it's almost as if you're reading their mind. So you see a guest walking in, perhaps they're walking slower than normal, they don't have a spring in their step, and you just walk over to them as soon as they sit down and bring them, some refreshing juice and a cup of coffee, and just say, I hope the rest of the day goes better for you, and I hope you feel better with your day. These are on the house, and they just go, wow, and you can see the body language change almost immediately. So yeah, I think it's a huge influence.
That's it.
Is that it?
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much.
No problem. Was that all right?
Yes,
Yes.
perfect actually.
Thank you.